Hey everybody, welcome to the Sin Bin. For those of you keeping up with CMB Reggae's mission to cover reggae music in the Mid-Atlantic, we've had a recent focus on Long Island. Our next artist comes from the Bronx. With a career that spans 4 decades, this artist has mastered the lovers rock sound. His 2019 album Symphony has been nominated for awards in the UK. He has a vibrant history of performing alongside the likes of Beanie Man, Sean Paul, Egyptian, Luciano, Beres Hammond, Wayne Wonder, Tyrus Riley, Mr. Vegas, and many more. He has also written for Erica Newell of Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers and Frankie Paul, and has a duet with him as well. It is my pleasure to introduce the reggae gentleman, Stephen Souza, to the Sin Bin. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Chris. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I guess the first question I have to ask you is what I do for mostly everyone that I interview is in terms of sound influences. What I do
Mhm.
is I take a guess at what it is you listen to by the style that you sing.
Okay.
And the three that have come up to the top of my list are Everton Blender, Sanchez, and Wayne Wonder.
Okay. So my influence actually before all those guys actually know them.
Okay.
Actually know Everton Blender very
Well,
well.
maybe that was their
Um
influences too. There is an age gap, you know?
yeah. Actually Everton Blender when I was in high school used to come to my school and ask if you could sing with our band whenever we were doing shows. So that's how my history with him started. So you're talking way
I
back.
uh I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Blender in Winchester, Virginia, about 4 years back,
Okay. Yeah,
and
yeah. He's
it
from
was quite
Manchester
an
as well.
experience.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I remember he's from Mandeville, Jamaica, the parish of Manchester, where I'm from. Um,
Hmm.
my major influence for my sound, I would say, is Sugar Minott, Dennis Brown, and Gregory and Barris.
Okay,
Those four guys kind of shaped my sound. I would actually say.
okay, all right. So you were born in Manchester, England, and
Uh,
that's correct. And you were there until you were a teenager. Is that correct? You went to high school there.
I'm from Sheffield, England, born in Nottingham. um, lived in Manchester, Jamaica. I left England when I was
Oh,
10.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my research has failed me. Okay.
Nah, you're close enough. Manchester's not that far from Sheffield.
Well,
Yeah. But yeah, I
okay.
left England when I was 10.
You think when you were 10.
Yeah.
But the the theory that I have going is
Mhm.
that Lovers Rock was pretty much the staple of the
British.
UK at the
Yeah.
time.
Yes. Yes. Actually,
And
you're right about that.
so did you feel like you brought that inclination, that sound with you when you went to Jamaica? Was it more popular in the UK than it was in Jamaica at the time?
So when I left England, Lovers Rock really didn't hit yet, or I would say wasn't even created yet. It was more
Hmm.
of the rocksteady sound. So because
Okay.
I grew up, I don't know if you're familiar with the Trojan record label in England. They're like the VP records back then. So everything
I
that
know
came out of
very little
Jamaica
about
then.
British reggae. I'm just going to come clean on
Okay.
that right now.
All right. So of what I remember, the top record label right then was Trojan Records, which was actually owned by Chris Blackwell of Island
Okay.
Records,
All right.
um, which I think he sold off or something like his partnership after a while. But so all the artists on that record label who I grew up to. So you're talking about Toots and the Maytals, Jimmy Cliff, young Dennis Brown, young Bob Marley and the Wailers, the Paragons, John Holt, all those greats. So it was really rock steady, scat and rock steady. But I was really feeling rock steady, which was the
Hmm.
smooth, slow sound of reggae. Um, it became the roots rock reggae in the 70s. And in the 80s, it became a little bit more started in England started to gear towards the lovers rock, especially when the digital sound came around. So
Okay. So I'm
my
sorry.
yeah.
I have to frame this in terms of history. What
Say
year
it again,
was it
sorry.
when you were 10 and left the UK for Jamaica?
So I left Jamaica at 73, 1973.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
now just doing my age, I'm way up there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I pretty much observed and lived the transformation of Jamaican music, if I may say so, because I've watched it change from mental ska, rock steady to what it is now. And actually watched and heard as Bob Marley himself transitioned from his, which was he started off, which was ska reggae, roots, rock steady, to into what we call roots rock reggae, which is what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Lovers Rock part I didn't really find for myself until I started following Barris Hammond when he started to influence me, and that was in the 90s. But before
Okay.
that, I was more very rock steady, and surprisingly enough, the music I used to write was more R&B because I really liked R&B back then as well. So I was more
Mm-hmm.
writing my songs as R&Bs, which are what I would say about Lovers Rock is like R&B put to a really smooth reggae beat. So the fact that I was writing R&B already made my transition into Lovers Rock really easy because I was already writing them nice, smooth lyrics and
Mm-hmm.
harmonies, and I just put them onto reggae music, and it worked.
Okay. All right. So, so basically, you the three that I named there, were Everton, Blender, Sanchez, and Wayne Wonder. They were most likely influenced earlier by Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, and Luciano. Is that what you're
There you
saying?
go.
Okay.
Even
All right.
Luciano, they were all of those acts that you actually named were influenced really by the late great Dennis Brown.
That's
Luciano
right.
Patton, Dennis Brown, so did Sanchez. Each reggae singer, now reggae singer, will pay homage to Dennis Brown as the most, I'd say the most copied reggae singer ever.
Okay.
Um, Sad to say that Dennis was the reggae singer that everybody loved in the Caribbean before they started to love Bob Marley. And sad to say that we started, I'll say we, because I'm also one of those guilty culprits, start to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate Bob more when he passed. But Dennis Brown was that singer. He sang roots rock reggae, really nice lovers rock. He was that person that Jamaica really loved prior to Bob Marley. And he was
Mm-hmm.
also the singer. If you it was documented that he's also Bob Marley's favorite singer as well, which he said on record. That's his singer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. You moved to Jamaica at 10 years old
Yeah.
in the early side of the 70s.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about how you got into the reggae business.
So like I said, I loved reggae music from early. My parents used to buy a lot of records. My brother was in a punk rock reggae band, my oldest brother, when we were in England. So he used to bring a lot of music home. I remember my dad brought him U Roy's album, Virgin Galore, which is a classic. That's the first rapper, again, first rapper.
I am aware of Mr. U. Roy. Yeah.
So that's how I was introduced to reggae music, those songs. How I got into the business itself was in high school. My childhood friend, Paul Roach, now sings under the name of Why Not the Paul. He actually kept nagging me, pulling me to join the band, but being the shy guy that I was, it took me a minute before I actually built up the courage to go into that room and audition, and then became a member of the band. And that's where my whole career started, as a singer and a performer. And that was in
What year was
maybe,
that?
this is 1974 that I went to high school. I actually started high school very young. I was a smart chap. So I went to high school at the age of 11 in Jamaica. So I joined the band 2 years after that, which was at age 13. I started
Hmm.
performing professionally. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what was the name of that band?
Phase two.
Phase Two. Okay.
Phase two, yeah.
So when did you get your first record deal?
My first record I recorded, it was a single. I recorded, I'm gonna say it was 1981. I recorded for the same producer that brought Luciano, Everton, Blender, Garnet Silk to the studio for the first time, also from Mandeville, Jamaica, Deroy Callow Collins. He also wrote Tony Rebel's title track for his album when he got signed. He was the first person to me to the studio to record. We went to Harry J's studio and I recorded a song that he wrote called True Friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
And that was the
released.
beginning.
That was the beginning. That was actually unreleased in Canada. Did very well on the local market.
Mhm.
Um, I did. I don't know if you know what dub plates are. I started doing numerous dub plates, which is like you do a song, but you change the lyrics so if it's the
Yes.
DJ that's playing it. So now I would fix a song and call it DJ Chris,
Uh-huh.
put a melody in it. So I started doing a lot of those, and I would record those at the famous King Tubby studio. So that's how I started to get used to recording like crazy.
So you sang with the dub plates
With
in
dub plates.
live audience, all that kind of stuff?
So the dub plates were done in studio. Live audiences I was doing with the band, the high
Okay.
school band, which will also perform outside. And upon graduating, we kept that going. So we were performing. We were regular. We had a residency at a club called Planet in Mandeville, which was the number one club in Mandeville at the time. So we had a residency there for a couple of years. We did that led to my first major stage performance, which was called Reggae Magic, which was like into Reggae Sunsplash, but I was in Mandeville, the first one to keep in that rural area. I did that with we performed with Fab Five on that show. AJ Boots Brown, who's now the lead vocalist for Third World.
Hmm.
Colleen Davis was on that, and a host of other artists. And that's when I really got noticed as a reggae singer to be watched.
Hmm. Okay. So did you do touring after that, or did you?
Oh yeah, we started to tour Jamaica, of course. Most of the way we went as far as the North Coast, performed there on the North Coast at a bunch of places, Kingston, and Clarendon, a bunch of clubs and stage shows and stuff. So we started to make our name back and forth. We were coming in the papers a lot in the Jamaica Star. Sorry, the Jamaica Gleaner. We got a lot of write-ups, and we were doing pretty well. And but our fame actually became, I would say, our Achilles heel. So being the young guys that we were, we got kind of, used and abused
Caught
in
up,
terms of dealings and
caught up
stuff.
in
You know how
things.
that goes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Um,
that kind of led to breaking my heart, and hence I decided I was leaving Jamaica and coming here. Hence I ended up in
uh,
America.
when I was interviewing Andy Bassford,
Hmm.
he kind of recounted a similar story of when it was he was touring with Dennis Brown,
Hmm.
across the US and Canada and Jamaica. And he said that, particularly in that time of the 80s, it was there were a lot of people who got caught up in both the shady practices of the record business and also in the substances and the lifestyle, and
Hmm.
not everyone stayed on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. There was a lot of that going on back then. A lot of
Uh-huh.
people, sad to say, people got caught in it so bad they lost their lives. I lost friends and stuff like that. Especially too because a lot of shows I was doing was in the dance halls where you sing on a sound system where they flip it on the instrumental side and you freestyle to that. So
Hmm.
though that kind of scenario was great, was exhilarating, but it was also not the safest place to be.
Right.
But like I said, the business was kind of shady and we got caught up in it. I got caught up in it, and music is
Mhm.
something that was always a part of me that I knew this is what I really wanted to do. It fulfilled me. So
Right.
when that happened, I figured, you know what, I'm gonna leave. I pretty much gave up. Figured I'd give up on reggae and come to America and study, get a
Okay.
degree, and do something else.
So you said you went to the dance halls, and I'm looking at the list that I read out.
Mhm.
Were you performing with Mr. Vegas at the time?
Not yet. Those guys, Mr. Vegas wasn't happening yet when all that was happening for me in Jamaica. These
Hmm.
guys came out pretty much afterwards. You're talking
Hmm.
now, Vegas and these guys more the 90s dancehall. This what I'm talking about. This is the early 80s that I was doing my stuff, and I came to America in '84.
Came to America in
So
'84.
in
Okay.
1984, started college, but the bug hit me still. Still wanted to do music and found my way into the dance halls of New York with one of my friends that was also a member of the band back in Jamaica with me.
Mhm.
Arlington Morant, rest in peace, he passed away. So he started taking me to dance halls, and the first dance he took me to was one of those famous clubs in the Bronx by Gun Hill Road, and he kind of spoke to the DJ and told him, "Yo, let me sing." Guy kind of hesitated, let me sing. He didn't know who I was or anything like that. So the guy finally gave me the microphone. I sang. He liked how I sounded, and right there, I got a deal with him to perform with his sound system. That was Genesis at the time. So I started touring with them, and I would feature on some really popular dancehall sounds here in New York, Papa Moog, Downbeat the Ruler, those sound systems, and that got me going to the studio HDNF. I think you're familiar with that one in Freeport where Shabba Ranks and
Mhm.
Shaggy and all those guys recorded there. So I went there, recorded, and started recording with
Right.
Digital English,
So
Philip
yeah, so
Smart, yeah.
thinking about the late '80s New
Hmm.
York dancehall scene, Red Fox comes to
Red
mind.
Fox, yep, yep.
I know
Shine
that
It,
Shinehead
yes,
performed extensively.
yep.
Who else was big at
So
that
yeah,
point
Red
in time
Fox.
in New York? I
So we
mean, I
had
know
Shaggy, like we said, we had Rayvon.
Rayvon was with Shaggy,
Rayvon
and
was with Shaggy. That whole
I
crew.
think Tonto Metro,
Screechy Dan.
maybe.
Tanto was in Jamaica at the
Tonto
time.
was in Jamaica, and Screechy Dan
Screechy Dan.
was with Red
Yeah,
Fox, right?
yes. That whole
Um,
crew, that entire crew right there. Trying to think of some other names back that were Trevor Sparks.
mhm,
Rest in peace. He was popular back then as well, touring. So we crossed paths in a lot of dance halls as well.
mhm,
So, but back then, the '80s, the dancehall scene was really pumping. There was a lot of clubs that were pumping. You go in and it's live music, on tracks and everything, and you would do your thing, come out, and you made your name. So I was doing pretty good with that as well, which I
mhm.
enjoyed. But of course, that dancehall changed real quick and it got really violent, so I started to stay away from that.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, I think your story checks out. Um, let's talk about your current album. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, you're about to release number four. Have you already done it, or you're going to?
It's getting ready to be released. It's gonna be called Friends and Lovers. It's gonna be the fourth studio album from my record label that I've been recording with for a while now, One Harmony Music. Shout
Hmm.
out to Samuel Dyer, aka King Genius in England, London, England. So I've been recording him for a few years now. This is gonna be my fourth studio album with it, and it's gonna be 19 tracks. Is gonna be a really cool album. Lovers rock, some roots rock
Hmm.
reggae on there as well. And some, how would I say, a little dancehall-ish tip. But it's
Yes.
a nice little
Well,
mixture
I've
of
been blessed.
both of us.
I've heard a number of tracks ahead of the rest of the world. Part of
There you
the
go.
part of the perks of being in my position right now. I
There
think
you go.
my number one take on it is there are a lot of those you still stick to the classic rhythms like most of the other guys there in the early '80s. I see that you have, one of the rhythms is "Friends and Lovers" from Steely and Clevie. You
Hmm.
have a track from George Nooks. You have an Everton Blender cover in "God Be the
Hmm.
Glory." And in Mr. Mister, you have a song over the slang tang rhythm. Is that correct? Did I get
Right,
all
there you
that?
go. Yeah,
Did I get all
yeah,
that
pretty
straight?
much. Yeah, pretty much. There you go.
So, um, I mean, I have an ear, but I only know what it is I know. I mean, it's not like, you
You know a lot.
you were born in this and you grew up in it. I learned this stuff by going out and trying to find it on my own. So
And we appreciate what you
my
bring.
knowledge may be limited, you know?
Nah, your knowledge is great. Your knowledge is great. Cheers.
Hmm. Okay, so you have 19 tracks that you're going to release, um, and this is the direction that you're going. But also, you are the lead for Roots Foundation out of
Yes,
Long Island,
yes.
and that was when I had the opportunity to see you perform live at South Bay Music Festival,
Hmm.
along that lovely lady who sang Dawn Penn track. What
Tiffany
was her name?
Aponte. Tiffany
Tiffany
Aponte.
Aponte.
Yes.
And I have to tell you it was quite a relaxing day. It was an enchanting day, and the idea
Respect,
that you
respect.
guys showed up on stage, just as the sun started to go down, and it was breezy on the water, 70 degrees after a very very high intensity day, and the Roots Foundation lineup is very large and very talented.
Thank you, thank
So
you, thank you,
it was a great way to wind up the day. So
thank you.
talk to the audience about how Roots Foundation came about.
So I've known Corey for a while. When I used to perform with Rough Stuff Band out of Brooklyn. Rough
Mhm.
Stuff Band was the band that backed Dennis Brown when he was on tour in New York whenever he came over. So I was Dennis Brown's opening act until he died. So I would cross paths with Corey from then, and we've had numerous conversations about me joining the band when Rough Stuff fell apart. And my hesitancy was due to the distance to go to Long Island. So
Yeah.
we would always talk about that, and I was like, that's a little too far for me to travel, da da da. And we kept talking throughout the years until one it was 2 years ago. I've been with Bruce now 2, yeah. So he called me 2 years ago. We had a nice long conversation. You know what? Let's do this. And we did the
Hmm.
first gig, and we've been doing it ever since. It's a
Wow.
great group of guys. Like I said, talented. Love these guys to death.
Right.
Love being on stage with them. Corey,
Well,
big up
I
yourself.
love the pieces. If I remember correctly, it was a trumpet and a saxophone.
Yes.
Yeah, and
God Trumpet was Aaron, yeah. And on sax.
they just had this
Hmm.
thing about playing off against each other, and I'm like, God, I wish there were more American reggae bands that did this. I really do.
Yes, yes.
If you want a complete sound, this is what you have to do. You know,
Yep, yep. Yes, yes.
Otherwise you're just a bunch of rock and rollers who were attempting to play reggae instead of
True that.
reggae guys, right? So, um, so anyway, okay. So you joined Roots Foundation
2 years now,
2 years
yeah. Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
Even after being a fan from the sidelines for a very long time,
Yes.
and um, oh yes, so that reminds me, we were talking about other artists who were in Patchogue at the time.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I think Clevie died in Patchogue, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think,
Um,
yeah, he was in Long Island. He was sick, yeah, because he used to move with a lady I knew that did production. Um, he was down with her too. And I remember when he got ill and passed away. Yeah, he was here, Long Island.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
rest
I
in
just
peace.
remember that we were talking. The name did not control the name, and I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. So
Stephen
okay,
Cleary. Hmm.
all right. So you're gonna finish this album, or do you have a tour lined up? Are you looking to do this, or how are you gonna handle that?
So I'm looking to do a tour. We're in the process of lining that up. I was supposed to perform at the AWLS Award show prior to COVID, which I was also nominated for an award,
Right?
which I came in second to Maxi Priest, big yourself Maxi. So next year, because the album's gonna release this year, we're looking to release this album November. Um, we're looking to start that tour the beginning of next year, and it will probably be a lot of UK touring, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Mhm. Okay.
And we
All
also
right.
have Jamaica in the lineup as well. So
That's excellent.
yeah,
That's not bad.
not at
Particularly
all.
in particularly in January, right?
Oh yes, January,
Yes,
great time to
that's
go.
right.
Yes, the dream is
So
to hit that reggae sunfest in Jamaica. That's the
there
dream.
you go.
There you
Let me
go.
know. Let
I
me know when it
definitely
happens.
will.
Maybe I'll make
Definitely.
a quick winter getaway. You
Sounds
know.
great to me.
Is there anything else you'd like to plug? I mean, what does Roots Foundation have going on for the next
So Roots
month
Foundation
or
right now,
two?
we're actually working on our debut album. So we're actually going to be putting out a single first. So we're
Mhm.
actually working on some jams right now. Some of the songs you've already heard, like Ganja with Smoke, Incomplete, which Tiffany Aponte leads in that one. We got Media Frenzy, those songs, and Welcome to the Party, which is our theme song. So those songs, we're getting ready to record those and drop them prior to the release of the album, which we should have ready for release next year. And we're looking forward to
I
that.
do have to tell you that was a first for me when you all were performing the Ganja Smoke song, and every single one of you had a joint in your hands while you were
Did you catch the
performing.
guy with the blower?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It
Ah,
was,
okay.
you know, I mean, I'm just saying it was fairly new territory for me
Yes,
to see
yeah.
that out in the open. I'm living in Pennsylvania now. That stuff is still not legal here. Um,
Ah.
but no, I just yes, I don't think I've ever seen a situation where the majority of band members, while performing a song, had a lit joint in their hand at the same time. That was new for me. That was new territory for me.
Well, we are singing our ganja we smoke, so we had to
Sing about
actually
ganja and
show
you
it.
smoke, but I mean,
So
I'm
we
saying
gotta.
you. All of that aside, you guys definitely brought a good vibe or a good energy to that performance. It seemed like you
Great.
were enthusiastic about doing so.
Yes, we
So
were.
okay,
So if we're
all
not
right.
having fun
So
up there, we pretty much know the fans are not gonna have fun down there either. So we gotta bring the fun to them, you know?
that's right. That's right.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
so Roots. When does the Roots Foundation album drop?
So we haven't got a date yet. Like I said,
Okay.
we're basically working on the tracks so we can pinpoint which one we're gonna release first as a single to
Okay.
spearhead the release of the album. So like I said, we're basically working out all the jams right now. We're getting ready to drop the rhythms for all those four songs that I mentioned, and then we're gonna drop one as a single. But the album should be ready by summer next year.
Excellent.
I'm gonna put it there. Yeah, it should be ready by then.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Mr. Souza, for joining us to the
Thank
CMB
you for
Reggae
having me.
audience. You're welcome.
Thank you so
To
much.
to to the rest of the CMB Reggae audience, please continue to tune in week after week for new content. I will still be pushing out who's playing where across the Mid Atlantic, like I always do, and there is definitely a large lineup of interviews that I intend to be doing throughout the fall and winter months.
Great.
Okay.
If I may
All
say
right.
one
Thank
more
you.
thing,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to shout out the design of the t-shirt I'm wearing right now is it's a brand out of Jamaica called Kuya, which means
Hmm.
look here. Um Basically they are now sponsoring me. I'm now have a deal with them. So they're gonna be sponsoring my outfits and stuff, which I've been dying to wear
All
their
right.
clothing. They have a really nice clothing line.
Send me some of
So
that
they're like,
stuff.
there you go. Now
2XL.
you're
2XL.
talking.
Do it.
It's the official reggae outfit, Kuya. Remember the day? Okay.
Okay.
Big up to Junior. Yeah, man. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Chris.
No
And
problem.
thank you for what you do for reggae music, sincerely.
Oh, well, thank you. No,
Yes.
I'm glad that the opportunity is to do this. I mean, the idea that I can go talk to these people, this was nothing but an abstraction and a personal pursuit for me when I was back in my 20s. The idea that now I would be face to face with so many guys that I used to listen to, even
Hmm.
back in the dorm rooms in college, I did not ever anticipate that. So
Yeah, that's the
the
beauty of
reward goes to
music.
me, you know,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
like,
Yeah,
so I will continue to help and I will continue to push, but the reality is that a lot of these outings where I cover this stuff, so many of them turn into permanent memories for me. And I think that if that didn't
great.
happen, I would not have been propelled into doing this. You know,
Got you.
it was the idea that I started the voyage, and it was just one event after another that led me to believe that I need to stick with this and to do this. So,
Well, thank you, sir.
okay,
Thank you
that
very
was
much.
my misty sentimentalism for the time. I'm good with that. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us, and once again, continue to tune in every week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.